Hey guys, don't forget to check out the 3 brand new Orabomb shirts that just dropped, all coming in a variety of colors. Links are in the description if you guys are interested. Now, on to the video. Hey guys, welcome back. Orabomb here, bringing you another one of our live deck profiles. Today we are playing around, or showing off, my Noivern Altaria deck profile. This is a deck I really want to play around with some more. I really like the idea of this deck. I think it has so much potential. We just got to make sure we build the right list, and I'm still working on it. The videos that you guys saw is definitely not my final product, but we got to get all these videos recorded before I go. So we got some stuff. We'll talk about all the additions that we could make, and all the cards that we tried out and everything like that, and how you could try them out different ways and things like that. But for the time being, let's go over the Pokemon in this deck list. Now, of course, we do have our 4 Noibats. We're playing the 50 HP Destructive Sound Noibat, only because we don't really have any of the Noibats we really can play in this set. As you can see, Destructive Sound, or in general, because we only have 50 HP ones, which sucks, but that's what it is there. Your opponent reveals their hand, discard all item cards from their hand. So, I mean, it's not like the worst attack ever, and it could be disruptive, but you barely, and I mean barely, will ever get a chance to use that, because you always want to evolve into your Noivern, because Noivern is MVP. So Noivern's really cool. 200 HP Dragon type Pokemon. And the reason why people don't play Noivern Standard is because we don't really have good ways to, like, give this Pokemon energies in one turn. We still don't. Like, we have access to Malamar. We're not going to be playing Malamar in this deck list because I tried it and I took it out because I found that I was still able to get 2 energies and continuously attach the Noiverns perfectly fine without Malamar. So I took it out, but it's definitely something that I would love to put back in, just because I really like Malamar in this deck list. Because it means you can set up Noiverns in 1 turn. You can even set up Sonic Volumes in 2 turns. It's really strong. But anyways, let's go over Noivern. 200 HP Dragon type Pokemon with free retreat, which is already great because we don't really have any ways to retreat for free. There's no more float stones. No more float stones. There's just alter the moves and stuff like that. So it's nice to have free retreat on Pokemon. Really nice. Has that first attack Distort for 50. Let's see if we can make this look good. Your opponent can play. Your opponent can't play any item card from their hand during their next turn. So it's item lock. Similar to all the other forms of item lock we've seen in the past. Sorry for like all the glare and stuff. I am trying to adjust the camera to have that not be an issue, but I guess these lights just get brighter with time. I don't know. But anyways, so that's really strong. We do have Pokemon to pair it with. We're just gonna go over it right now before we get into the video. But we'll talk about Noivern some more in a second. We have 2 Swablu's to pair with our. Let's see, can I make Noibat a little bit away from the Nicolary section? This can be there we go. That's good. So we have 2 Swablu's to go with our 2 Altarias. Now this Altaria is not the same as the Altaria we're getting in the set. This is a 70 HP one, the new one is 80, and the attacks do 20 for DC, and this attack is different, but the retreat cost is the same, and I believe the weakness, no, it's a fairy type weakness, not a dragon type weakness, so keep that in mind, but the ability is the same, being your dragon type Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to the active Pokemon. So we can increase the damage of our Distort from 50 to 70, and from 70 to 100 with the Choice Band. As you can see, that's 2-hit KOing almost everything in the format. It's not 2-hit KOing Zoroark, but if you put down another Altaria, you are 2-hit KOing Zoroark. So you have so many cool options in this deck, and then if you combine Distort with the Sonic Volume, which is the attack you probably will be using against Zoroark, being that your opponent can't play any special energy cards from their hand during their next turn, it's really good as well. So you have 2 very disruptive attacks against 2 different matchups altogether, which could swing your matchups and like excuse me, I'm sorry, I just woke up. Swing the matchup in your favor in so many different games. It's also cool because Sonic Volume goes from just hitting for 120 to potentially taking Okos, because with 40 more damage you're hitting 160, and with a Choice Band you're hitting 190. So you can actually hit 190 with a Sonic Volume with this deck, which is actually easier to set up than most would think, because you have access to this cool new supporter card, which we'll go over in a second. We have other supporters we can play in this deck too. Zinnia, I'm gonna get up and talk at the same time as I pick things up. But in case my voice sounds like it's fading away, it's all good. But Zinnia is a really cool supporter card. I'm not currently playing it in this deck list, but what it does is that if your Pokemon was knocked out during the previous turn, you may attach 2 energies from your hand to one of your Dragon Pokemon. It's a supporter, which is why I'm not playing it, but I could definitely see a good reason to play it in this deck, just because of how useful it can be. I've had so many situations where I'm just like, man, I wish I had one extra energy attachment, which is why I wanted to play the Malamar before. But sorry, I had to get some of these cards out of my binder so I could show you guys what I'm talking about. But there's so many times where I wish I had the an extra energy attachment that turn, so I could easily hit for Distort or a Sonic Volume that turn, but I can't do that all the time. So that's why I want a Malamar, but Zinnia could also be useful. If I were to play Zinnia, I would probably put in a third or even maybe a fourth Lele, because there's so many times you just want a specific supporter in this deck, and I've had really bad issues with Lele's being prized or just not having enough Lele's in general. The only reason why I don't want to play Lele is the same reason why I don't want to play a 3-3 line of Altaria, because I don't want to lead with anything except for Noivern. Because I want to attach to the Noivern and then attach the following turn to an attack. But if I'm forced to have a Pokemon that isn't Noivern active, I'm forced to Guzma, which is not good because I do want to get my turn 2 Distort off. But more importantly, I mean, that's as important as it gets. You have to get your turn 2 Distort off, which is why I'm not playing too many Pokemon that aren't Noibat in this deck, because I want to leave Noibat as much as possible. I have a 4 count of this, and I do have 2 Leles, which we'll just put down right here because, you know, they're Leles, not a big deal. But like, you could definitely try it out. Like, I would love to have like a 3-3 line of Altaria in this deck because I want to have a bunch of Altarias down. Bench space is an issue in this deck, and attaching every turn is so pivotal in this deck that it's kind of important. I am playing 4 Guzmas, but I could see you increasing your count to Lele to 3 or 4, and just like, you could argue that you could play maybe some escape boards in this deck or more switches and stuff like that. But deck space is also tight in this deck because you are playing 2 stage 1s and a bunch of energy, and you have to set these things up as early as possible without having to play Fan Club, because being forced to play down Lele is never that good. But anyways, let's talk about the GX attack. Now, GX attack is actually super cool. This attack does 50 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So because of the nature of item lock, there's going to be so many turns where you just attack with Distort, and then your opponent's going to want to switch, and they're not going to want to be knocked out, so they're going to want to switch around and make sure that they don't get knocked out. And then you could sometimes just take knockouts even from the bench using Boom Burst. And Boom Burst attack does increase, the damage of Boom Burst does increase with Choice Bands and Altarias and stuff like that on the active Pokemon. So there's so many turns where I could probably take 3 or 4 knockouts using Boom Burst by Guzmaing up a fresh Pokemon that I can knock out from like 80, 100 damage easily with Boom Burst, and just go from there. Or it's stuff like that, not 80, but like, was it like 90? 2 Altarias and 90? Yeah, because I can knock out Malamars with 2 Altarias down and a Boom Burst from the active, and then maybe have some weakened Pokemon, or even weaken out, or maybe even weaken some Pokemon so they all get knocked out by Distort and stuff like that. Without N in the format, you're not even punished for taking too many prizes in a game anymore. Like, you can take prizes as quickly as you like and not even worry about being punished because of the fact that there's no more N in the format. So that's pretty useful in its own right. But that's the Pokemon line. There's one more card I do want to talk about that I'm not playing, and that is the Latios Prism. Now, Latios Prism, in theory, is super duper strong in this deck. It has 140 HP Prism card Pokemon, weak to 1 retreat cost, weak to Fairy, all that good jazz. But its attack for a DC does 50 damage times the amount of evolved Dragon Pokemon on your bench. And as you can see, we only play evolved Dragon Pokemon. So we could easily ramp this up to 200, 250 damage if we have like a perfect bench, right? The problem is that I found that I would never, and I mean never, attach to Latios, because I'm always attaching to a Noivern like every single turn. So that's my issue with playing Latios, and I took it out after some testing, as well as the Malamar, because I just found that I never really have time to play down the Latios and attach energies to it. I never have time. I never have bench space to play down the Malamar and stuff like that. Although I could definitely make bench space, and Malamar is definitely a Pokemon I definitely want to try out again. And I said definitely so many times, so forgive me for that. But yeah, definitely some testing needs to be done with Noivern and the Pokemon line. But for now, I like the basis of the list, and you guys can do with it as you will. Now, in this deck, I am playing four Nest Balls and 4 Treasures. As you can see, the Noibats and the Swablues are not Dragon types, which sucks, but it makes sense because they're not Dragon types in the game. They're normal flying types, as weird as that sounds. So they're not Dragon types, but Nest Ball gets them, right? And then Mystery Treasure gets all of our Dragons and our Leles as well. So realistically, we don't need Ultra Ball in this deck because the combination of Nest Ball and Mystery Treasure gets us everything we need. But for consistency's purposes, we are still playing 2 Ultra Ball. I definitely want to play around with the count though, because getting out Pokemon, my ideal turn has 2 Swablues, 2 Noiverns. That's an ideal turn. So, but Mystery Treasure does not get the Swablues or Noiverns or Noibats. It gets just the Leles and the Noiverns and the Altarias. So I'm thinking about increasing the count of Ultra Ball so I can have a higher chance of leading with all my Pokemon that I want turn 1. or maybe even like playing around with the numbers of nest balls and ultra balls or something like that. I don't know. Definitely something I want to play around with. So much testing I want to do in this deck. I'm actually really excited to play Noivern. I think Noivern is such a cool card. And I just love dragon type Pokemon, as you guys know. Ooh, speaking of which. Anyways, 2 stretchers because we want to constantly be getting our Noivern's back. And it does come in clutch for the other support we're going to play. Now, as you guys know, I was using these backwards cards as acrobikes in the video. But for the sake of this deck profile, I'll use the real ones that are in the other deck, so ignore the fact that the sleeves are different. But we have 4 acrobikes in this deck because consistency. Acrobike is great too. I was playing acrobikes because it did help me put psychic energies in discard pile for Malamar, but after taking out Malamar, I was playing around the acrobikes, and I really like the acrobikes, man. They really help with your consistency. So I'm keeping the acrobikes in. And we are playing 3 choice bands, and how I wish this was 4. So many games where I was just like, I really need a choice band right now to, you know, put myself into a KO range, or to a KO my opponent, or just OHKO them or something like that. Unfortunately, we only have space for 3. I'm gonna try to make room for a 4th one, but we're just gonna keep playing around with numbers in this deck. Numbers are like the hardest part about like playing these kind of decks. But yeah, that is the item count line. Let's go ahead and move on to the supporters. Let me put these back over here. And then I can do that for the Malamar deck profile. Sorry for getting real close to the mic there. But the Malamar deck profile, I'm really excited about Malamar, guys. I just love Malamar. It's one of my favorite decks. So I'm actually really excited to show it off. But anyways, we're doing Noivern right now. I have there's so many cool decks in this next format. I'm just so excited. Anyways, 4 Cynthia because standard. And 4 Guzma because of that situation I mentioned earlier in the video where you want to make sure your Noibats are active as often as you can. And having 4 Guzma. Not to mention, like, you want to Guzma and take knockouts on things with Distorts. Like, the more you can knock out, like, babies with Distort, the better off your game will be. Like, it's just so useful. 3 Acerola. Now, Acerola is really cool in this deck. You're a 200 HP Pokemon. It's not exactly easy to hit 200 HP. And if you can deny knockouts while item locking, that's kind of wild. So I definitely really like Acerola in this matchup. As you can see in that one game, I don't remember if this was a game that we recorded, but there was one game where I just kept Aceroling my opponent who kept using Dawn Wings to attack me for 2 KOs. So they would attack me for 2 KOs, and I would attack them for 2 KOs, but I had Acerola, so I was able to pick up a Noivern, evolve the other one into a Noivern, attach an extra energy to it, and then take a knockout the following turn. So I really think Acerola is like a must in these Noivern decks. 2 Judges, and 2 Lilies for draw support. Lily's really good. I told you guys, I'm gonna start putting Lilies in my deck because I think Lily is really strong. Lily is actually really strong turn 1, especially in these decks. Like at first, I was not the biggest fan of playing Lily in these non-basic decks, but because we have so much discard in this deck, being Ultra Ball and Mystery Treasure, it's actually not a big deal playing Lily. And there's so many turns where I just want to hold on to the Noivern in my hand, but I still want to draw. So I use Lily to draw like 6 or 7 or even 5 sometimes, just because my hand is so good that I don't want to lose it, but I also want to get more cards in my hand. So Lily being very useful. And then we have the new supporter, which I think is super dope in this deck, and that is Lance Prism. It's a Prism card, and no point putting it close to the camera because you guys don't know what it does. But what it does is that, you don't know how to read Japanese, that's what I'm trying to say. What it does is that if one of your Pokemon were knocked out last turn, you may put 2 Dragon-type Pokemon from your deck directly onto your bench. Yes, they don't have to be basic. Yes, they can be stage 1s, and that's a really cool and easy way to ramp up 40 extra damage by putting 2 Altarias down. And is another reason why I want to try to put in maybe just a 3rd Altaria and keep 2 Swablues. Because you can evolve 1 into Swablu and then use Lance Prism to put out 2 Altarias. You can also use this to put out 2 Noiverns, but usually you're setting up your Noiverns throughout the game, but I've actually most of the time just put Altarias directly onto my bench. So I love Lance Prism just for that alone. You have to be careful that your bench isn't too full, but that's the reason why we're playing 2 stretchers, because sometimes you have to discard your Pokemon, sometimes they get knocked out, and it's nice to be able to put those Pokemon back into your bench just so you can use your Lance Prism and just put so many. This is putting Altarias directly onto your board. Increasing your Noivern's attack by 40 is so strong sometimes. And you can also use it to get out Noivern's in case you're in such an awkward position that you can't set up anything. That happens sometimes. But that's the supporter line, and we're gonna go over the energies. The energy line is fairly basic. Because Noivern attacks for a Distort attack requires a dark energy, we're gonna play more darks than psychics. So we're gonna be playing 8 darks, and we're gonna be playing 4 psychic energies as well. I found this to be good. You could maybe cut one dark for another psychic, but I found this to be really, really good. Even when I was playing Mewmore, if you play that 1/1 line of Mewmore, all you really need is one psychic energy in the discard pile. So you don't even have to worry about it too much. I think this is really, really strong as is. But that's gonna be the deck, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys fans of playing cards like Noivern, or are you guys like super against it? Now, the reason why I usually don't like playing item lock, I think item lock is kind of like unfair sometimes, but just because of the nature of this deck and how difficult it is to set it up, or not difficult, quote unquote, but like how it's not like turn 1 attack for like a DCE, you know what I mean? Or like Wally into it and attack for 1 energy and get item lock turn 1, right? Your opponent will always guarantee get 1 turn of items because you have no way in the next format to like set up a Noivern in 1 turn. There's no Max Elixir, there's no Wally. I mean, you could technically Wally, but you can't Wally twice a turn. I mean, there's no Wally in the next format anyways. So there's none of that shenanigans. You can't evolve up turn 1. So having access to cards like Noivern and being able to item lock with hitting for good damage and having increased damage with Altari is really strong. And then because there's such an increased number of Guzma in the next format, or not Guzma, supporters in general, because you're going to need more supporters if you want to play the game, because there's no Seeker, we don't have Sycamore anymore and things like that. Because there's such an increased amount of supporters in the next format, it's not even like a huge deal to be item locked, but still item lock can literally steal games sometimes. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Drop a like, subscribe, share all the good jazz. We'll have our Mewmore deck up for you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.